Tonight, you will probably fail at sleeping, not because something is wrong with you, not because of stress, or your phone, or too much coffee, but because the version of sleep your doctor recommends, your mattress advertises, and your alarm clock enforces, it never existed for most of human history. The idea that you should collapse unconscious for 8 straight hours and wake up refreshed is one of the most successful lies your modern life has ever told you. And your body already knows it. You wake at 3 a.m. and stare at the ceiling. You feel a strange, alert calm. Your mind drifts, not anxiously, not urgently, just open. You think this is insomnia. You think something is broken. But what if that moment is not a malfunction? What if it is the oldest, most natural state a human being can be in? Historian A. Roger Ekirch spent 16 years combing through diaries, court records, medical texts, and literary accounts from medieval and early modern Europe. What he found in 2001 rewrote everything sleep scientists thought they knew. For hundreds of years, across dozens of cultures, humans did not sleep in one long block. They slept in two. A first sleep lasting roughly 4 hours. Then a waking period of 1 to 2 hours. Then a second sleep until morning. This was not insomnia. This was the schedule. They had a word for it. The hour between first and second sleep was called the watch. And during the watch, people were not lying in the dark panicking about tomorrow. They were talking to their partners. They were praying. They were interpreting dreams. Some had sex. Medieval medical texts actually recommended it during this hour for optimal conception. Others got up, visited neighbors, checked on livestock, wrote letters by candlelight. Your 3 a.m. alertness is not a glitch. It is an ancient alarm clock going off exactly on schedule. But how did we lose it? And more strangely, why do we keep waking up at the same hour every night, generation after generation, in a world that has completely forgotten this sleep ever existed? To understand this, you have to go back much further than medieval Europe. You have to go back to before fire, before shelter, before language. You have to go back to the savannah, where your ancestors slept under open sky, surrounded by things that ate people. Sleep researcher Jerome Siegel spent years studying the Hadza of Tanzania, one of the last remaining hunter-gatherer populations on Earth. He fitted them with wrist sensors and tracked their sleep in their natural environment, expecting to find evidence of the long, deep, uninterrupted slumber that modern sleep science says humans need. What he found instead overturned a central pillar of sleep medicine. The Hadza did not average 8 hours. They averaged 6.5. They went to sleep late. They woke naturally. And they almost never all slept at the same time. When Siegel analyzed the data, he found that across a 1-week period, there were only 18 minutes during which every single member of the group was asleep simultaneously. 18 minutes out of an entire week. Think about what that means. Your ancestors did not have night watches or security systems or locked doors. The alarm system was biology itself. Someone was always awake. The group survived not because everyone slept deeply and long, but because sleep was staggered, light, and interrupted by design. Your tendency to wake in the night is not weakness. It is the oldest form of protection your species ever developed. Now here is where it gets stranger, because this was not just a behavioral adaptation. It was written directly into your biology, into the molecular structure of your cells, into a system so ancient it predates the human species by hundreds of millions of years. You have a circadian clock. Every cell in your body has one, not a metaphor. A literal molecular clockwork of proteins that cycle on a roughly 24-hour rhythm, regulating everything from hormone release to immune function to when you feel awake and when you feel like you cannot possibly open your eyes. Scientists Jeffrey Hall, Michael Rosbash, and Michael Young won the Nobel Prize in Physiology in 2017 for mapping exactly how this clock works. And what the clock reveals about sleep is this: your body does not want to sleep in one straight line. It wants to sleep in a shape. Picture a wave. Your alertness rises in the morning, peaks in the early afternoon, dips sharply around 2 p.m. That is not laziness, that is your clock. Rises again in the late afternoon, then falls steeply as darkness approaches. Then, somewhere in the middle of the night, It rises again, briefly, before dropping to its lowest point just before dawn. That midnight rise is your watch. Your body schedules it. Your biology generates it. Every night, your cells run this ancient program, this relic of sleeping on the savannah, of keeping someone awake while the predators circled. And then your alarm goes off, and you take a melatonin, and you spend $400 on a mattress that promises to put you under for 8 hours straight. And you call your doctor because you keep waking up at 3 a.m. The sleep you are trying to fix is the sleep you were built for. But this creates a real problem, because the modern world did not pause to consult your circadian clock when it decided how the day would run. Artificial light, specifically electric light, is the single greatest disruptor of human sleep in history. Before Edison, the only light source available after dark was fire. And fire, as it turns out, is almost perfectly calibrated to human sleep biology. Its warm orange tones sit at the lower end of the light spectrum and do not suppress melatonin. You could sit by a campfire for hours and your body would still begin its natural wind down towards sleep. The blue light emitted by screens, by LED bulbs, by the overhead lights in your office, it sits at exactly the frequency that your brain interprets as daylight. Not metaphorically, neurologically. Every hour you spend in electric light after sunset is, to your circadian clock, the equivalent of noon sun. You are lying to your own body about what time it is every single night. Psychologist Till Roenneberg at Ludwig Maximilian University in Munich coined a term for what happens when your biological clock and your social schedule stop agreeing with each other. He called it social jet lag. And he found that the majority of people in industrialized countries live with it chronically, waking hours before their biological morning, commuting in a state that is neurologically closer to 3 a.m. than dawn, running on a sleep debt that never fully clears. The consequences are not small. Chronic sleep disruption is linked to suppressed immune function, increased inflammation, elevated cortisol, impaired emotional regulation, accelerated cellular aging. Your body treats insufficient sleep the same way it treats physical threat. Because to your ancient biology, being unable to sleep properly meant danger. But here is the counterintuitive part. The solution is not to force yourself into 8 straight hours through sleeping pills and blackout curtains and perfectly scheduled bedtimes. The solution might be to stop fighting the architecture of sleep you were born with. Some sleep researchers now argue that the healthiest relationship to sleep is not rigidity, but trust. Not chasing a number of hours, but listening to the structure your biology already has. If you wake in the night, do not panic. Do not reach for your phone. That is the one thing guaranteed to reset your clock to noon. Lie still. Let your mind wander. You are in the watch. Ekirch found that people in the pre-industrial world actually treasured this time. They called it a special quality of wakefulness. Open, reflective, unhurried. Monks structured their prayer around it. Writers kept notebooks beside the bed for it. The night, split in two, was not something to be endured. It was something to be inhabited. Think about the last time you woke in the small hours and felt that strange, still clarity. You were not broken. You were ancient. You were sitting in the oldest room in the house of human experience, and the people who built that room did not see it as empty time to be filled or fixed or medicated away. They saw it as the most honest version of being awake there is. Tonight, when the sun goes down, your body will begin the same program it has run for 100,000 years. It will count the darkness, cool your core temperature, release the hormones, roll back the alertness, begin the first descent. And somewhere in the middle of the night, it will surface. Briefly, quietly, the way your ancestors surfaced, on the savannah, under stars, listening. The sleep you keep trying to fix is not broken. It is just older than you know.